Well, welcome everyone. My name is Doug Kreidler. I'm President and CEO of the Columbus Foundation. On behalf of the assembled hosts here today, we want to welcome you and we want to acknowledge where we stand today, which is in the environs of the now 110-year-old New Salem Baptist Church. Please give a round of applause. And as you well know, both the church and the Troy family has stood for opportunity and justice for generations now, and we applaud them. It seems fitting that we are indeed enjoying the bounty of a community garden, because what we're about to hear today is what a growing community looks and sounds like. Being here also leads us easily to the understanding that both as individuals and as community, we reap what we sow. And so today's announcement is about government, business, civic organizations like the Columbus Foundation working shoulder to shoulder for community progress. The length of the speaker list, not always a good thing, but today it's a good thing because the length of the speaker list is an indication of the depth of the commitment across this community to this important issue. We are all in, and we are all in together on this important issue. So I celebrate each of our partners, as I do each of you, for being here today. And I would now like to make the transition and say it's actually always, and even more so today, my privilege to introduce the city leader who's been steadfastly committed to opportunity and to neighborhoods, and without whom today would not be possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Andrew Ginther.
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon. This is a great day in the city of Columbus, and so proud to have so many standing with us here today. You know, our city is in an unprecedented time of growth. We have record low unemployment and a booming housing market. But neighborhoods like Linden have been left out of this success. And as we grow, some residents are finding it more and more difficult to find safe, decent housing that they can afford. We know that more than 54,000 of our neighbors in Central Ohio live at or near poverty and spend more than a half of their income just for housing. As the city and region continue to grow, we must make sure that our neighbors who work in this region can afford to live here too. Housing that everyone can afford, housing that residents, workers, corporate leaders, faith leaders, nonprofit leaders can be proud of in a community with vibrant neighborhoods. I've talked to mayors of other great American cities that have faced similar challenges. Great cities like Austin, Seattle, Denver, Nashville. And they all tell me the same thing: get started now. It only becomes more difficult to realize and build inclusive growth when dramatic and dynamic growth has already taken place or in the midst. We also know that affordable housing is top of mind for many of our neighbors. In May, voters overwhelmingly approved the bond sales specifically connected to affordable housing for the first time in the city's history. Today, I'm thrilled to report that in the spirit of the Columbus way, the private community has stepped up in a major way too. Private partners have created a $100 million housing action fund. This fund will provide a flexible source of capital dollars managed by a known community trusted partner, the Affordable Housing Trust. It will offer low-cost loans to developers who commit to specific affordability requirements in order to preserve and increase the number of units in Franklin County. These funds are in addition to the $50 million approved by the voters in May to represent the foundation of a comprehensive community approach to filling the housing gap throughout our region. The new fund is unique in its diverse mix of investors aligned with a shared purpose and commitment to the community. I'd like to thank our founding investors sitting here on stage. You'd hold your applause to the end and we can recognize them all. But if they would stand or wave a hand. Bob Weiler from the Affordable Housing Trust for Columbus and Franklin County. Donald Brown from Columbia Gas NiSource Charitable Foundation. Doug Kreidler from the Columbus Foundation. Francie Henry from Fifth Third Bank. Scott McComb from Heartland Bank. Steve Steinauer from Huntington National Bank. Janelle Coleman, L Brands. Chad Jester, Nationwide. Cheryl Snyder, Park National Bank. And Mary Auk with PNC. Can we give them all a round of applause for their... I also want to thank E.J. Thomas, Chairman of the Affordable Housing Alliance, who will be critical in the work of the Housing Action Fund. Thank you, E.J., for your leadership. Finding ways to encourage housing that is affordable to everyone is not just the right thing to do. It helps the region remain competitive in attracting and retaining businesses. We need a region where seniors can age in place, where recent college graduates can find a place to live, where police officers and firefighters and teachers and executives and everyone in between, regardless of their stage in life, all have access to safe, decent housing. Today is a big day of thank yous, and I'm grateful for all of those who've answered the charge to address one of the biggest challenges or opportunities that our community faces today. There are many great American cities that have grown dynamically and dramatically over the last several decades. I want Columbus to be the first one to grow dynamically, dramatically, and inclusively at the same time. And that's what today's announcement is all about. Today is just the beginning. Now we must focus on how to best use these funds to build a future with mixed income neighborhoods that invests in our most valuable assets, our neighbors. It is now my pleasure to introduce our great partner and her incredible colleagues in this work. Please welcome the President of the Board of the Franklin County Commissioners, President Marilyn Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Ginther, and thank you to everybody for being here. I am so happy to be part of this event and the announcement today for such an important effort. What could be more important than having a safe, stable, and affordable place to call home? Think about how people will be able to get stable in their lives if they have a place to call home that they're not fearful of being evicted from, that they can be in, that's safe, that their children will be in, that's stable. That's what this is about. One of the best things about today, though, is the group that's here. All of you in the audience, all of you on the stage. The scope of this work is daunting. It's challenging, but it's not something that's not doable. We know this is the way we work in this community. We all put our heads together, we all put our money together, we all put our sweat equity together, and we've got lots of that here today. Yeah? We can get this done when we're all together. Several weeks ago, our Board of Commissioners rolled out our community blueprint to address poverty in a comprehensive, inclusive way across Franklin County. Together, we can improve opportunity for people and families to get ahead. One of the central agenda items in the blueprint was the way to alleviate poverty was to have affordable and adequate, stable housing throughout the community. This is an issue we already put a lot of dollars toward and a lot of effort toward. We target precious federal resources such as our Community Development Block Grant and other HUD funds to support housing initiatives that really support thousands of families every year. We also use our real estate conveyance fee, $6.4 million every year, to support Affordable Housing Trust and the Community Shelter Board. And then we add on top of that another $2 million a year in general fund dollars for additional support to the Shelter Board. All told, we invest at Franklin County over $17 million in affordable housing each year. We're proud of these investments to stabilize and rehouse a lot of our residents, thousands of our residents each year. But it's not enough. It's really not near enough. That's why we've tasked our Economic Development Department with creating recommendations for additional investments in affordable housing as part of their forthcoming economic strategic plan. The Franklin County Commissioners are honored to be part of standing here today with Huntington Bank and all of the other partners as we call 2019 the year of affordable housing. I applaud everyone involved with their commitment to this important issue. It's a significant issue to people in our community getting what they need to prosper and move forward in their lives. It is now important to know that we will be rolling out some new initiatives that will go into and fold into everything else going on in affordable housing. And you will hear about that very soon. But it is my pleasure right now to introduce my friend and our Columbus City Council member, Shayla Favor, Chair of the City's Council's Housing Committee. And Shayla, if you come forward and give some.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's such a cool day in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. The City of Columbus and Franklin County continue to work together every single day to improve the lives of our residents. And our participation here today is just one more example of that. Again, my name is Shayla Favor, and I am proud to serve as the chair of City Council's Housing Committee. I also want to recognize some key folks in the room. I work very closely with the Department of Development, who continues to work diligently in our communities to ensure that we are pushing the needle forward. So to Steve Shoney, thank you so much, the Director, Steve Shoney, for everything that you do for the City of Columbus, and to Mayor Ginther as well. At Columbus City Council, we know that affordable housing is one of the biggest challenges we face as a city. We know that nearly 54,000 households in our community are paying more than they can afford. As our community continues to grow, we must be proactive about ensuring everyone in our city has a safe, affordable place to live, including our most vulnerable residents. That is why I am so thrilled for this announcement today. Affordable housing is so important to the economic vitality of our neighborhoods. Affordable homes helps employers attract and retain employees. The construction of affordable homes helps to stimulate economic growth, and a healthy mix of housing options helps to ensure that all of our residents are in a better place to improve their economic situation and contribute to the community through access to better schools, transportation, and work. We also know that affordable housing is about more than just new construction. We are continuing to look at more ways to improve existing homes and stabilize households. Through continued community collaborative and focus, I am confident we will reach our goals. It is because of partners like Homeport that we know we can do this work. Thank you for allowing us to utilize this space today, which will be the future site of affordable homes here in Linden. You set the example of how this funding will be used and how truly impactful it can be. Additionally, we cannot do this type of work here in Columbus without our partners in the private sector, who are committed to not only investing in our residents, but investing in our communities. It is my great pleasure to introduce one of those private partners, Mr. Steve Steiner, President and CEO of Huntington Bank.
What a great afternoon to be with all of you. Thank you, Councilwoman Favor, and good afternoon, everyone. Just making sure this heat didn't get to you. I want to thank Mayor Ginther, the entire City Council, the Franklin County Commissioners for your work to address critical housing need in Columbus. We all know it exists. Commission President Brown, you and the fellow commissioners have lifted a coordinated focus with the blueprint to address poverty. So thank you for that. You've inspired us, your strategic actions to advance our community in these last few weeks with the blueprint and the subsequent actions you're taking, including what you're doing with us today, is remarkable leadership. We're honored to represent all the founding investors in the Housing Action Fund who are with us, many of whom are on stage here this afternoon. It's a powerful opportunity. It's a moment in time for private companies, foundations, corporations, and banks to come together to partner, collectively partner, for our city and for our county to advance affordable housing. Our institutions collectively and individually are deeply committed to the community here and to the individuals, the families, the members whom we think of as neighbors and friends. We're championing a new model that's going to create capacity to advance affordable housing options throughout Columbus for many years. I think this is a model for collective social impact that will actually be copied around the country. I'm confident under your leadership, Bob and the team at the Affordable Housing Trust, and with our great elected leaders, that Columbus will help tens of thousands of people in the future live in quality, affordable housing who might not otherwise have been able to do so. So it's fitting that the private sector stand alongside our public leaders in this shared purpose. The outcome is a new private, large fund with a diverse mix of aligned investors. The model's unique and innovative opportunity for private businesses and an impact in the community through investing, jointly leveraged, and this is important, jointly leveraged and coordinated with city and county resources. We're providing capital that can be repeatedly leveraged over the years through other investors and financing sources. And I believe we can help thousands more families find affordable housing in Columbus over the next decade and more to come, thanks to CHT. So special thanks to Doug Kreidler, the Affordable Housing Alliance partners, the consistent voice Doug's had, along with the Alliance over the years, many years, for the availability of safe, dignified, and affordable housing. I want to thank Alex Fisher and our many Columbus Partnership colleagues here today who supported discussions around this fund and continue to champion shared prosperity and economic inclusion. This fund is another powerful example of the Columbus way, the collaboration of public and private sectors coming together to help our friends, to help the families, to help our neighbors, those in need. So crafting this partnership would not have been possible without the expertise and trusted backing of the Affordable Housing Trust. Steve Gladman, Jim Bowman worked well for months to drive this model under the leadership of one of the great board chairmen here in Columbus, Bob Weiler. I want to thank you for your tireless efforts to do this. Every city in America would like to have leaders like those on stage, those elected, and those serving the interests of those who need support, like the individuals I just mentioned. But I have the privilege of introducing one of the great, all-time great Columbus leaders, the man who spent over 50 years dedicated to helping this community move forward. He's tireless, he's very humble and quiet, the Affordable Housing Trust Chair, and good friend to many of us, Bob Weiler. Bob, thank you.
After that introduction, I think I'm best off just saying it's good to see you all and sitting down. You know, collaboration, the definition is looking out in this room as well as on stage. We've got every leader, so many represented who really care about our city. For the Affordable Housing Trust, I want to tell you it is a great honor and privilege, the confidence that you have in us, Steve, and the other investors. And I assure you that we will do everything we can to professionally manage the funds efficiently, leveraging, as you say, as best we can. If I can just take 1 second in the heat, I'll try not to make it much more than a second. But the gap between the affordability gap is getting wider all the time. And we talk about minimum wage. Isn't it wonderful that minimum wage has increased $1 or $2? Well, it's called minimum wage for a reason. It's because it's minimum. It's the absolute minimum. And you can't live today on minimum wage when the cost of housing has escalated so. In the last 10 years, rental rates have skyrocketed. Buying new homes, you all know, is getting out of sight. And that's what's made this investment, $100 million, so important. And I assure you, all of you investors, that we will do our very best to make smart investments. We will have a reserve so as to protect the principal. And it's with great appreciation and gratitude that the trust is able to be part of this wonderful collaboration. Having said that, now it's my opportunity to introduce the person whose name you've already mentioned, E.J. Thomas. You know him from his great work over the years with Habitat, but that's not enough. He has become our chair here for the Housing Alliance, and it's a credit to you, E.J., and your board that you are the one selected to be part of this great collaboration. So again, I want to thank all the investors so much, and Steve, thank you for the elaborate introduction.
Thank you, Bob. Looking back at what is now approaching 4 years, none of our dozen charter nonprofit affordable housing organizations that came together as the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio could have possibly imagined today's announcement. Originally, our goal was to discuss elevating the conversation about affordable housing needs in Central Ohio. We started with absolutely no blueprint, but a sincere desire to create one. Frankly, the commitment of significant new public, private, and philanthropic resources to address the affordable housing gap seemed like a lofty vision, especially after our initial study illustrated just how large that affordable gap is. But after sharing our research, enlisting sponsors and strategic advisors from the business community, proposing a detailed plan for how to close the gap, getting the attention of the media, and conducting literally hundreds of meetings and presentations with policymakers and anyone else who would listen, and there's a lot of policymakers that say, oh yeah, you were dialing our phone all the time. Here's where we are. The committee has committed more than $140 million that we had originally proposed for the Alliance's 3-year startup plan. It's hard to know where to begin in thanking everyone who has made this day possible. our members and those on our Strategic Advisory Council, Mayor Ginther, City Council and city staff, county commissioners and their staff, Steve Steinauer, who has absolutely been a fabulous champion here to help get this off the ground, and the staff there at Huntington, and other institutional investors in the fund, Steve Gladman and the Affordable Housing Trust and the folks there that are, their knowledge of all of this stuff is way above our pay grade, and countless others interested in this issue. But as thrilled as members of the Alliance are today, we acknowledge this is a very significant beginning, but not the conclusion. The Alliance will continue to be the moral compass to ensure that as many resources as possible serve the GAP households at or near the poverty level. We will continue to work to advance the 3 Ps of housing solutions: the project, the programs, and the policies, ones that provide a real hand up to those who need it. We will continue to work with partners to ensure that resources are coordinated and well leveraged, as you said, Bob, and Steve, to avoid duplication, help the community connect the dots between housing and other critical community issues, innovate and bring evidence-based practices and models from other communities to the table for consideration and adaptation. And above all, our members will be in the game to ensure that these new resources are used efficiently and effectively. Now, as some of you know, Alliance 2.0 is underway with the onboarding of new members, including for-profit affordable housing developers. We have hired a full-time executive director, and Bobby Garber will continue to help us through the transition as a strategic advisor. And I'll just shout you out, Bobby, because your work has been incredibly helpful to all of us, keeping us focused and on track. And we will have a physical home at United Way of Central Ohio. So thank you, Lisa Cordes, for your support of the Alliance's next iteration. So on behalf of all Alliance members, thank you for every one of you for your commitment to address Franklin County's affordable housing challenge. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Brandy Slaughter. Brandy is the CEO of Voices for Ohio's Children, a statewide nonpartisan advocacy organization focused on improving the well-being of children in our state. And all of us that are part of this effort know that it is kids who grow up, and it is kids who need the help and the support of families who are able to live in a safe, decent, and affordable home. Brandy's an attorney with a concentration in child and family law, has dedicated her career to the development of policy changes on behalf of people with disabilities, children, and families. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Brandy Slaughter.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to join with Mayor Ginther, Commissioner Brown, Councilmember Faber, and the development, corporate, and philanthropic partners that are involved in this important announcement. I live in South Linden, and I'm excited about the efforts taking place to transform this community. When history is written, we will know our mayor as a mayor who improved neighborhoods, the places where people live, work, play, and worship. Again, I'm Brandy Slaughter. I'm the CEO of Voices for Ohio's Children, and we're an advocacy organization. We've existed for over 20 years, educating, influencing, and improving policies that impact children and their families in Columbus and throughout the state. We are known for our state and federal advocacy with a focus on access for health care, reducing infant mortality, improving early childhood education and experiences, and other policies that provide children with an opportunity to succeed in life. In a time when 1 in 4 children are affected by hunger, policymakers get to decide which children get to eat and which go hungry. Our schools struggle. The quality of a child's education oftentimes depends on the zip code they reside. Kids across the state and here in Columbus face all types of challenges, from the safety of their neighborhood to their overall well-being. And administrators, policymakers, funding entities, the business community, they all make decisions that impact the quality of lives for our children. And these challenges, they require innovative solutions and strategic partnerships. And this is why we're thrilled to be here today in support of the creation of the Housing Action Fund to address affordable housing in our community. Because research shows that where a child lives affects every aspect of child development. Housing condition and stability plays a very important role in a child's ability to succeed in work and in school throughout their lives. We know that when children move a lot, because families can't afford the rent or have higher rates, they have higher rates of stress, they tend to exhibit more behavioral issues, and absenteeism, and they usually perform more poorly in the classroom. Children who live in substandard housing get sick from mold, infestation, or even lead poisoning. But we can change these negative outcomes by ensuring that all families have access to decent, safe, lead-free, and affordable housing. Again, thank you for allowing me to make a few comments. Columbus is taking good steps to address this issue, but the affordable housing shortage is too serious for the city to deal with alone. Therefore, I commend the partnership that's displayed here today. But as I'm ever the advocate, I can't miss my opportunity to encourage the state legislature to also leverage these opportunities and local resources. They are considering a biennial budget, and we're hopeful that they will expand the Ohio Housing Trust Fund to do more to support children and families and communities. Thank you, Mayor Ginther, for your leadership. This fund is an important step in our community so that all of our children can live in a safe, affordable home and achieve their full potential. Thank you.
Before we wrap up here, we are here in large part because of the vision and commitment of the congregation at New Salem Baptist Church. And so, Dr. Keith Troy, would you mind standing, and all the members of the New Salem family that are here? I think I saw First Lady Troy earlier. Thank you.
It's not our 110th anniversary this year, it's our 75th at the foundation, but I thought I would pass along a quote as we close that our founder said, which is, it is not what a city is today, it's what a city is striving to be that makes the difference. And what today says is that we're striving to be a place where prosperity is something that everyone can participate in the benefits of. Thank you for being truly, both here in the context of this place and in this community, a community of caring. Thank you very much.